In today's lesson, we're going to talk about fractions, decimals, and percents, and how to convert from a fraction to a decimal and from a decimal to a percent. First thing that we need to do is to review fractions. Fractions is a part out of a whole. All right, so this would be 1/4, or you could also say 1 out of 4. The number on the top is referred to as the numerator. The number on the bottom is referred to as the denominator. Okay, that's a fraction. Then we have decimals. When we talk about decimals, the important thing to remember is place value. You have the decimal, and then the place values after the decimal are tenths place, hundredths place, and then you can even go as far as the thousandths place. The last concept that we're going to cover today is percents. Percent literally means per 100. Anytime you have a fraction and your denominator is 100, whatever number is on the top is going to be a percent. So let's say, for instance, I have a 5 over 100. That is equal to 5%, or 5 per 100. This is a little chart that we're going to use to help you convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. So we can start with a fraction. I'll pick 2/5. The first thing that we have to do when we have a fraction is try to make it an equivalent fraction over 100. To do that, I'm going to have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So then I look, what number can I multiply 5 by to get 100? 5 times 20 is 100. If I multiply my denominator, I also have to multiply my numerator. 2 times 20. Okay, I can write that a little better. 2 times 20 is 40. So I can read this as 40 hundredths. When I write that as a decimal, I know the first place is the tenths place, second place is the hundredths place, and I have 40 hundredths. To turn a decimal into a percent, all we have to do is move the decimal 2 places to the right. That gives us 40%. If I wanted to move straight from my fraction, which was 40 over 100, I could skip the decimal place and go straight to a percent, because we already said that any number over 100 is a percent. So all you really have to do is to see if your denominator can go into 100. If it does, then you make an equivalent fraction. You can either turn that straight into a percent, or you can write it as a decimal. And we can do another example. I'll start us with 1/4. Once again, 4 goes into 100, so I can make an equivalent fraction over 100. 4 times 25 is equal to 100. And if I multiply the denominator, I also have to multiply the numerator. 1 times 25 equals 25. So here I have 25 over 100. I know that any number over 100 is a percent, so I can go ahead and write this as 25%. I also know that if I'm writing it as a decimal, I need to go to the hundredths place and fill it in with 25, because the fraction is 25 hundredths, the decimal is 25 hundredths. And if you see, there is a recurring number here, which is 25. Now, There will be times when this method will not work, and I'll show you an example of that. Sometimes you will have a fraction, for instance, 1/8, where your denominator, in this case 8, does not go evenly into 100. When that happens, you have to divide your fraction. The numerator goes inside, the denominator goes on the outside of your division symbol, and I like to add a decimal and some zeros. 8 does not go into 1, so that's going to be 0. 8 can go into 10, and it goes into 10 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract, there's nothing left. So what I get here is a decimal value of 125 thousandths. And I'll try to see if I can write that. So 1/8 is equivalent to 125 thousandths. Now when I have this in decimal form, if I want to turn it into a percent, remember all I have to do is to move my decimal over 2 places to the right, so that as a percent this would be 12.5%. If you need to, you can rewind this or come up with some example problems on your own. Make sure you take notes and complete your WISC.